But the information war you're talking about and the cognitive war you're talking about, what I believe some of our military understand, but far too few do, is that this cognitive war is perpetual. It is the primary war, and it's happening in the cognitive domain. And it's not kinetics. Okay, so our military industrial complex, our intelligence community, and our DoD are stuck on the kinetic warfare. And that's why we're losing the cognitive warfare. So let me give you a couple aspects here. So over a quarter century ago, I wrote The Theory of the Information Equilibrium, which helps to discuss this whole paradigm we're talking about here. And I defined the concept of the information equilibrium as the transfer of knowledge through the use of information-based sources, technologies, and services, which leads to an eventual equilibrium of the world's social, political, and economic situations. Such an equilibrium is based on the involvement of the public, private, nonprofit sectors, basically the whole of society. I use the word knowledge versus information on purpose. Much information can be passed, but it is a formation of information to useful concepts, ideas, or actions that denotes actual knowledge. The base concept here suggests that if one strives for the greatest access and distribution of information throughout the world by all peoples, the eventual result will be a transfusion of knowledge and ideas such that the world's general economic, social, political development will move towards an equilibrium. Now, why is that important? Because the theory of the information equilibrium proffers, and this is the difference between tyranny and freedom. The balance between societies that advance and advocate for freedom and opportunity, democracy, individual rights, and those that advance for dictatorships, tyranny, autocracies, etc., lay in this fundamental fact, in the flow or the constriction of information, in line with the concept of the information equilibrium, which I just laid out. In basic form, this means the more open the flow, the equilibrium will shift its balance towards democracy and freedom. The more constricted the flow of information, the balance shifts towards dictators, despots, and theocracies. So now why is that important in the paper that you're talking about? Because what they're talking about here is relaying a set of information based on a constricted flow of information, predominantly first to their own people, as we see what happens today in Russia and China, to maintain the subjugation of those people. It's critical because that deception is ongoing. It doesn't happen just during the kinetic war, it's ongoing now. And as I wrote back then, unless we adjust our future concept of operations to account for the paradigm shifts that have occurred under our feet, this is February of 2019. Our nation and its intelligence operations will once again awaken too late to a different reality, which is likely to end badly with a significant long-term impacts to our nation's security and place as world leader. I project such a negative and reactive outcome to occur either because we lost the cognitive war totally, our adversaries succeeded in undermining their institutions and democratic foundation to such an extent they are no longer viable, or because our efforts to counter in the cognitive domain came too late. And I end this by saying if we fail to act in the cognitive domain, we will likely end up in a major kinetic conflict, resulting in devastating outcomes in physical and human toll, which recovery is questionable. So where are we now, Dr. Yan? We're exactly at that point. Is our DoD folks, our IC folks, are projecting war with China and Taiwan, moving towards a kinetic war because we're losing the cognitive war. And this paper that you sent me, I was able to translate some of it through the wonders of Google Translate. It's very spot on in many aspects, but they talk about the cognitive intervention, the cognitive theory, and the methods used, but they do it more so in the realm of direct warfare, kinetic warfare. But the other paper, a couple other journals wrote on unrestricted warfare also applies, same thing with Sun Tzu. Yes. This is the art of cognitive warfare. So back to you.
Yes, I agree with you. There are other paper. I mean, some paper I haven't sent you also talk about we call it 生子, which is you mean 生寿, because that was kind of basically 生子is a person in ancient China and several thousand years ago. He was the first person talk about the war strategy in Chinese history, and also he has combined the Chinese culture into the strategies, which make it very special from different from the Western cultures and the Western strategies. So when you talk about the kinetic war and also you said that America should be more proactive, I totally agree with you because in CCP's opinion and in their perspective, they have already they improved the unrestricted war. Now it has go to the new age, and they have combined the kinetic war with the cognitive war in their strategy. Because when we talk about kinetic war, we're basically talking about like the hacking, cyber things, and also using artificial intelligence, information, using this technology, misinformation to conduct the war. And China has deepened the understanding and also application of the kinetic war. Basically, from CCP and People's Liberation Army side, they try to implant this kind of wrong cognition, which fit their ideology or their strategy through this kind of technology, like the misinformation on Twitter, on other social media,
Yes.
on TikTok, and also traditional way like the mainstream media, newspaper altogether. And also they have huge amount of force to apply this through people. And that is why Xi Jinping and CCP always talk about people's war.
Yes.
That means using the huge amount of misinformation to manipulate your understanding of the term, of the concept, or your understanding of the situation. I think the very typical example people now can understand is before the pandemic happened, China first covered up the outbreak in Wuhan. And
Yes.
then since January 2020, remember at that time, China and WHO cheat people that no human-to-human transmission, no worry about that. But I revealed that human-to-human transmission exists, and China and the WHO were covering it up together. Also, I pointed out that this is the CCP's novel bioweapon released from the lab, not from the nature. And also I provide the backbone virus CC45, this information to the public. Immediately, within 24 hours, CCP adjusted their strategy, and they basically immediately start to release the Wuhan Institute of Virology's fake virus evidence that they claim they have something called RETG13 obtained from Yunnan, West China, and also they claim that is 4% difference between that virus and the COVID-19 virus. And also they start to put a lot of information on the nature origin theory. They start to organize the Lancet paper with Peter Daszak and recruit like 27 top virologists to sign the letter to confirm nature origin, to deny the non-nature origin, claim lab origin as conspiracy, and praise Chinese Communist Party in anti-COVID-19. So these are all the initial steps for them to promote this kind of misinformation to pin down the other side, which is the lab origin side. And anyone who have this kind of curiosity at that time even cannot speak. So China used this way to coordinate and also control the voice. In the COVID case, they control the voice of the top virologists,
Yes.
medical journals, and WHO, and then this kind of influence can be amplified through their partners in the media, in the different government, and also they basically pin to different levels. If you listen to the news, then they give you the news. If you are the official, you need the professional opinion, they use compromised scientists to mislead you or suppress you. So this is a very typical example to show when CCP mixed all this kind of method to exert the power of the cognitive war, they can really get quite a lot of advantage. At least the whole 2020, I remember when I tell people this is from lab, and basically I get kind of total suppression and beating by the other side until 2021. More and more people start to realize that after their investigation or after what they suffer from the pandemic, they start to realize, oh no, there should be something wrong, and then push towards to the lab origin. More and more people start to wake up. But still, you see, until now, we wasted 3 years. And we just reached to the initial step to understand lab origin, CCP lab origin, and we still need to fight against more this kind of misinformation from CCP's cognitive war. For example, we have to fight against them with, is this a US military bioweapon, or it's from China, or is that bioweapon or not a bioweapon, just the civil study outcome by accident released, or is this come from the Ukraine biolab or not? And altogether, I mean, also like, is this from Xi Jinping, or maybe Xi Jinping's political enemy try to set Xi Jinping up? All this kind of misinformation continuously waste people's time. And this is something when we talk about cognitive war, I mean, today we don't have enough time, but I hope that in the future, we can help our audience know more about how this kind of strategy works in our lives, not only in the war time, but also in the peaceful time like now, and how to change this kind of influence, how to overcome the damage from this kind of cognitive strategies, and also turn the situation become more proactive and finally beat them. And we only have 1 minute left. I want hear you to give our audience a brief summarize about what we discussed, sir.
Okay, fantastic. So let me say, basically, the cover-up you're explaining was also amplified here in the United States by allies of the CCP, who censored, canceled, and controlled the information. The administration, who I think is again compromised right now, wants to deal with the World Health Organization, which is compromised and aligned with China. China murdered 7 million people worldwide, no accountability. Russia undertook the colonial pipeline hack, no accountability. TikTok, WeChat, DNA data. China has all the information they need. When they sent agricultural seeds a while back to the United States, it was a test run, from my opinion. They could send any type of bio weapon they want across the United States and impact it significantly. Same thing with the balloons. So it's time we start to wake up and realize the cognitive war, World War III, is already undertaken and on its way. And we're way late, way short, and way behind.
Thank you so much, sir. I so appreciate of your appearance in my broadcast, and I believe we can have more discussion in the future to deepen the understanding of the cognitive warfare with our audience.